Hi, good morning. I'm Rajiv Vaidya from India, Mumbai, and I'm a bonsai artist, also treasurer of SABF. And today I'm in my farmhouse and I'm going to work on some of my bonsai and some plants. Now, this is one particular Indian Casurina. This is an Indian variety of Casurina. It is more finicky than the Indonesian variety, of course, and today we are going to work on this particular plant. I have already started some work on this plant. Some more work is needed to be done. I need to repot it today. This is the season for its reporting.
Okay, sir, I would like to ask that why are you going to repot this plant?
Okay. For one thing, it has become too big for this particular pot. This pot now is too small for this plant. This is quite a big bonsai, and for that reason we need to give it a bigger pot. That's one reason. The other reason, and equally important reason, is that it has inclined too much towards this side. You know, it needs to be corrected. Its posture needs to be corrected.
Its position is changed.
Yes, has to be changed.
Okay. And what soil will be using for it?
I'll be using lava crush, then I'll be using brick crush, I'll be using a lot of coarse sand, I'll be using some amount of garden earth and a little compost added to it. But other than that, I'm not going to add anything more to it.
Okay. And why did you choose this season to work on this plant?
See, Casurinas are that way quite finicky in the sense that they can't tolerate the heat when they are to be repotted or potted up, and because it's the monsoon over here and it's raining almost daily, so this is the best season for it to be worked on in this fashion. Potting and repotting needs to be done in this season. Then the other work that you need to do on these plants can be done at a later stage, at a later season, after say 2 months after repotting, 3 months after repotting. It all depends upon what your choice is and how much the plant has grown and recovered. If the recovery of the plant is slower, then you need to work only after 3 months or something like that. If the recovery of the plant is after 2 months, then you can safely start working on it by re-pruning it and then wiring. It needs a lot of wiring. So, but right now, because it's a good season for repotting, we'll do the repotting first. Otherwise, normally we would have done the wiring first, waited for the monsoons, and then done the repotting. Unfortunately, we didn't do that. I didn't do that. So we will be conducting the other things on this later on. But potting and repotting will finish today itself.
Okay.
And this is I'm going to do with the help of my friend and student Ajay Singh Doke, who is also an artist, as well as he makes cement kuramas and a lot of other artistic work.
Okay, sir. So, what type of pot have you selected to repot this Casurina in?
I'll show you the pot. This is a very old style pot, and I would rather prefer to use this kind of pot because of the size, first thing, depth, second, and I do prefer to use older pots which have got the patina of age on them, kind of. Newer pots will look too fresh for the purpose of old trees like this. They have to be in tune. The pot needs to be in tune with the plant, age of the plant. If you take antique pots, of course we don't have antique pots and they are too costly to be used. But still, this is a very dear old bonsai. This belongs to my Guru Ratna Dave, and she also has got a lot of attachment to this particular bonsai because her late mother had created this bonsai initially. So thank you. We'll start on the process of repotting. So we'll bring the plant. We have already unpotted the plant now, bonsai. Now we will just bring it over here and try to reset it in this pot. We might have to reposition some of the full soil texture. So we'll just try to do it that way. we'll just bring it over here. Okay. Okay. Yes.
So
Now we will need to incline it this way. So just a moment before a little more. I think that's the correct position that it needs to be. So what we will need to do is just roughly tamp it on as much as possible so that the original soil ball will go inside. We don't want to tamper with the soil or the roots basically. We will try to keep as much of the roots intact as possible. But in order to do that, we will have to tamp this. So I will do that from the other side. Ajay is holding the plant or the bonsai.
do you want to tie it first over here?
I think, but first let's
Okay.
tamp down the soil or the soil ball, root ball. I think we will need to loosen the soil a bit.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Under
Let's take the sickle and try to loosen up some of the soil over here in order to let it set down in the soil. I can afford to disturb the root ball, but I can't afford to cut too much of the rootage. That is one thing that I don't prefer to do, especially on Casurina. Okay. Trying to keep as much of the roots intact as possible. I'll try to tamp down this once more. Try to
You need to put some soil below.
we will try to. But first I want to reduce the soil from the loosen the soil from the top. Otherwise the water will not trickle into the soil from this surface. It has become too compact. But I don't want to break it open also too much. I mean, I am doing that right now, and I am afraid I might have to do it a little more roughly for a bit. But I think that's about that. Now what I will try to do is introduce a lot of soil over here, then incline it a little more like this, and then again try to tamp it down. Ajay, if you will please hold it in this position.
Yes.
Yes. I think because I have loosened the soil now, I think.
So the roots may not break over.
No, they won't break over here because anyway I have loosened the soil over here so that the roots will bend a bit, but they will not break to that extent. Anyway, now a little more, Ajay. I think what we will need to do is tamp down soil, loosen it from the bottom a bit so that possibly try to. This is a huge thing, so we need to do it carefully. But the season is right, so I'll take a chance. Yeah, I think a little more, Ajay. Yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll use this bit and okay. Now we'll introduce a little soil underneath so that it gets a lot of support. I'm using an improvised I'll introduce the soil as fast as possible so that Ajay does not need to hold it for longer than necessary. And we have to always see that the soil touches the bottom of the roots. I mean, there is no gap between the bottom of the roots and the soil surface. Let's see, Ajay, just for position. No, still. And just put some soil, and then we'll see the countering of the soil so that the tree rests firmly on the soil. That is more important. There should not be any gap between the level of the soil and the level of the rootage. Let me just try it for a little more, and then we are done. Yes. The soil should be firmly in contact with the bottom roots. So that care needs to be always taken. Otherwise, then you just twist it. I think that's about it. Then now we will need to tie it. Just a moment. Always when we are potting or repotting any plant, we need to take care that the front leans towards the viewer. So I'll introduce a little more soil towards the rear of the pot. Are we okay, Ajay? Turn the hair. I think because a lot of roots might be exposed for some time, I think we will need to also put some moss on the surface of the soil because it is still exposed quite a bit. Let's see the position. I think that's the I'll just have a look from a little far off. I think just a little more inclination. Can we just pull it up a little bit? I think that's it. I think it needs to be. Just a moment. Let's try that. Let's see now. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's upright enough. I can't make it because you need to also see the position of the apex. If the position of the apex is inclined slightly towards the left, then I think that should be okay. So now we need to tie in the pot. We have already introduced tie wires into it, and I think we need to tie it. Okay, that's fine. I have the habit of tying the plant to the pot, however big it might be, because when some of the plants are kept on the ground, there are always likely to be domestic animals, dogs, cats roaming around, and they might play havoc on the plant, they might just uproot that plant and you never know. Then that will happen. So, my practice to keep on tying the root ball. We just need to fill in the gaps, and then just tamp it down properly. This is important because loose roots will wither and die if they are not in contact with soil. So that is one precaution that we always need to take when we are repotting. There are always a lot of air pockets that happen when we are potting or repotting something, and you need to always eliminate these bigger air pockets. Of course, there have to be air pockets so that there is free play of air, fresh air. Whenever we are watering the plant or bonsai, the water which seeks the bottom of the pot will always drive away stale air, and the vacuums that are created after the water is used up is filled with fresh air, that is oxygen, which is needed by the roots in order to survive. Otherwise, there will be anaerobic respiration, which is not a healthy thing for plants to have. So yes, we will need to ensure that all the roots are in contact with soil of some sort. This is particularly important. See now that the apex is coming back slightly towards the left or the side opposite the lean. That is counterbalancing the flow or the lean of that plant. Many things need to be wired, so please don't be under the impression that this is an unkempt bonsai. It has not been wired for a long time, that is the only problem with it. But otherwise it has been really well shaped. Normally in Indian soils it's difficult to shape up or make Indian soils survive for this long in bonsai pot. But my guru and her mother were exceptionally good artists and very knowledgeable, so they were able to do this. And since it has been passed on to me, I would like to, if I am unable to improve, at least I would like to keep up that design, make sure that the plant remains healthy, the bonsai remains healthy and lives long years. Other issue here is to ensure that the surface of the original soil has been raised to such an extent. Now whatever is beneath needs to be properly tamped down so that there are no air pockets over there. We have simply filled it up with soil first in the initial stages. So now we need to also ensure that that surface remains in contact with the soil. There is a lot of lava crush that we have used today. Lava crush is not so very common as bonsai soil. It's not a common ingredient for bonsai soil in India. We rather prefer to use brick crush, which is easily available and cheaper compared to lava soil, of course. That goes without saying. But the other aspect is that brick crush will always retain some kind of moisture, which is absolutely necessary for Casurinas. Casurinas thrive on moisture. Lack of moisture will quite soon kill a Casurina. So these are some of the tips that I have learned from my guru as well as Mr. Ravindran Damodar from Nagarkoil, who is an expert in Casurinas, and he has got a lot of Casurinas in his collection. And I have twice gone over to his place in order to learn some of the finer things of Casurina. This is an Indian Casurina, so it does have some slightly different cultural requirements. I'm inclining the chopstick sideways so that soil fills in the pockets if there are any underneath the original soil. Now this needs to be covered with sphagnum moss in order to retain moisture. The wall of sphagnum moss will need to be created over here. I think that's it. So that's that, folks. I hope you like the inclination and you are happy with the inclination and now the upright posture of the tree. And if there are any questions, please feel free to ask. I will try to answer them to the best of my ability. Ajay, please come to the side. Well, let's have a video with the tree. This is my guru's tree and I am maintaining it. And today we have repotted it. Now it is going to be a very difficult task to lift this pot and shift it to some places where we will be able to water it. Anyway, we are going to attempt that. We are 3 able-bodied people over here. So I hope that we will be able to do it. Thank you very much. Just look at the entire thing now. The apex is inclined towards the left, that is opposite the leaf, and now it is in a near perfect position. Pot is also near perfect, although it's a very old, you can say an antique pot, and the wiring will take place later on, of course, as I said earlier. But imagine it in its previous position and its new position. All branches will need to be wired heavily in order to reposition them properly. But in spite of that, the tree, you can't really, the magnificence of this tree you can't really ignore. Or it cannot, even the unwired status can't hide the magnificence of this tree. The magnificence of this tree. Thank you. Thank you, Ajay.